Let's talk to a writer at Courage Media, Connor Tomlinson, who joins us. Good morning to you.
Morning, Julia. Another clown's escaped the circus, so you've got me on again.
I mean, there are just too many clowns. The circus walls cannot be high enough. This story, really just got my goat. I know Mike Graham's as well. Avanti West Coast, you've had enough problems there of their own running trains on time. They have basically paid probably vast sums to digital artist Baraka Carberry to create a work for them showing, he says, she, I don't know, says, scenes of people, culture, colours and joy. Basically, they've wrapped a train in bold artwork celebrating the ethnicity of its operators' workforce and the communities it serves. It's all about, basically, celebrating diversity. And apparently, according to the Avanti West Coast Customer Experience Director, Catherine O'Brien, nothing like this has been seen on the UK railways. We're incredibly proud of this unique train and who it represents. But as far as I can tell, it only represents people of ethnic minority and no one white, even though the vast majority of people in this country is white. So how is it diverse?
Well, if they wanted to accurately represent the train-going journey in the UK, they'd have a bunch of bored people standing around in business suits trying to get to work because the train hasn't showed up. Because if they've spent any time on a platform in the last 3 years, they'd know that anything as mild as leaves on the line or a shortage of trained staff has prevented you from actually getting to your job. So you may as well work from home in the nice sunshine, as many people are increasingly doing.
Yeah.
Two things on that. Well, actually three. First of all, yeah, this already exists. Like these ugly corporate Memphis Canva graphics of, women in hijabs and wheelchairs and people with mastectomy scars from trans surgery is already plastered along the Elizabeth line, which spoils my commute into the ugly areas of London in the morning. Secondly, the reason this is being done is, as you say, for representation. This is part of Avanti West Coast Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Initiative, and it represents and includes anyone except the settled host majority of this country, who are the majority of people actually buying train tickets, it turns out. But the reason they're doing this, what representation means, and Hannah Pitkin, who's a philosopher, had a good theory of this, it means the making of something present that is otherwise absent. And so
What you've lost me.
Well, so what representation means to these people is that they, because they're quite insecure, because all they ever think about is their race and their sexuality and their gender identity, is they think that they aren't prominent enough in public life because people aren't showering them in compliments all the time. So they have to insert their own identity into literally every sphere of life, including the signs of trains. The third element of this, and this is something that you said earlier, is that lots of white liberals are doing this. And that might be the case for their accomplices. But if you look at the videos that are being shown now, if you're watching live or you check it out on Avanti West Coast, thriving, I'm sure, YouTube channel, after...
Have they got a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I'm sure they've got positively tens of subscribers. After decades of diversity, equity and inclusion policy, that's actually not the case. A lot of the executives in this company are black women. And so what we have to realize is, as a theory of mind for sort of we English people who don't think about things in racial categories, there are very tribal minorities who have been imported into the country and who have not assimilated over generations. And so think about these things in racial categories and have been taught to think about these things in racial categories, especially after 2020 and George Floyd and BLM. And they think about them as being constantly under assault by people like you and me because we happen to be of white skin. That's
therefore we're oppressors. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This is so dangerous. And again, I know I'm much older than you, and I was raised in a society and by a family where colour was totally irrelevant. People didn't talk about it. I think we really got to the point before all this madness started that actually all the polls showed in terms of people's perception of racial differences and in terms of mixed race marriages and things like that. It was very, very obvious that race was a far less big factor in most people's lives. Totally unbothered about it, and then people just started stirring it up. It's just the most extraordinary thing, and it doesn't do anyone any harm. And again, where are all these black, Asian, trans or whatever people who are thinking, oh, I don't think I can get on a train because I don't think it represents me? I mean, I just don't think that's how normal people think.
Well, hopefully they're encouraging lots of young black men, as I've seen on TikTok, in London to actually pay for train fares rather than just bump the barriers and break through and not be chased up by TfL staff.
Now, people are going to get upset about that, genuinely. I tackle people about that all the time at my local tube station, and I have to say, it may just be a matter that in my local tube station, and I think the last 5 occasions, all 5 have been young black men.
Well, it's because they won't be challenged, because if they're challenged, they're called racist. So if you create a society that's permissive of some people behaving badly and other people have to abide by the law, then the people that don't have to abide by the law will behave badly. Shock. As far as the sort of racial mythology that's been going on the last few years, you're right. I was born in 1998 after something happened in 1997, and Tony Blair revolutionized the country. But this has been going on for quite a while. I mean, obviously, everyone remembers the McPherson report calling the police institutionally racist after the murder of Stephen Lawrence. Now we have the Windrush that's treated as if it's Britain's Mayflower, that it rocked up after 1945.
No, but also this bizarre idea, and I've taken people up to task on this idea that people came here to build Britain. People came here to build a better life for themselves and worked very hard and very good. But they didn't. They weren't doing anything different from what British people already here were doing.
Oh, well, that's weird. I always heard that Hengist and Horsa and Emperor Hadrian were blacks, and that's odd. I thought black people built Stonehenge, Julia. Must not be going to the same history classes. But on Windrush, actually, this Baraka Carberry, the artist in question that's been shown, actually in 2023 made the Windrush bus, thanks to Sadiq Khan, and that bus participated in the Windrush Parade, which is, of course, another public holiday that celebrates the diversity of Britain, without which we would be nothing. At said Windrush Parade, people sexually assaulted police officers, stabbed each other, and actually one police officer was bitten. Now, I think that we could do without this awful behaviour at all of these sort of racial justice celebration events.
Or at any
and we
event.
could do without taxpayers spending loads of money on this hideous artwork that says that diversity has always built Britain, and if you don't think that, you're a racist.
Well, exactly. And also, this is the key thing, is that, things like you think, oh, well, it's a private train company. No, they're all subsidised by us. Anything they spend is our money, because that's the end of the day. We haven't even got round to talking about the UK's first apparently trans-identifying judge, Victoria McLeod, who stepped down last year, making a series of controversial statements, planning a human rights challenge to the Supreme Court gender ruling about the basic definition of a woman being biological, or indeed Lush, the retailer. I have to cross the road. I can't bear the smell of that store. Putting trans propaganda leaflets in party bags for children. There is no doubt at all. Just you've got about 10 seconds that an awful lot of people are not taking that Supreme Court ruling lying down.
Yeah, if judges think that men can become women by thought, then just like I don't want someone who believes in flat Earth working for NASA, they shouldn't be making judicial rulings. As far as Lush is concerned, if you put leaflets that convince parents with children with anorexia to engage in liposuction in their party bags, you would be shut down as a business. I think the same rule should apply.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.